Good morning to all, and I'm sorry for the delay for few due to the technical reasons. Uh, Myself, Dr. Dattatreya Kalabande, IQAC coordinator and librarian of J. Vatumal Sadhubela Girls College, Ulhasnagar, Maharashtra. I welcome to all of you in today's international webinar on essential skills for research and publishing, special reference to the intellectual property rights. Today with us have a keynote speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kataria ji, Dr. John Paul, Dr. Sriram sir, Dr. Subhash Chauhan sir, and Dr. Nandakishore Motewan, as well as our principal, Dr. Vasant Pandit Mali sir. You know, in present academic area, research has its own importance for the academic, personal, and professional development. For writing scientific research papers, you need to a good knowledge about the writing styles, formats, languages, and sometimes softwares and applications. But only writing is not sufficient for the reaching among the needy researchers. You need to proper knowledge about publishing platforms and their requirements. Another main and important part of the writing is IPR knowledge about the IPR related issues. And so and for the in-depth discussion on these burning issues, we all here gathered virtually, and we have very eminent personalities for the discussion. The beauty of the program is that for the today's program, more than 1,115 participants registered from the all over world and 75 participants from the out of country, including Philippines, Indonesia, Pakistan, Iraq, Ethiopia, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Africa, etc. And from the India, almost all the states representative registered, including the principals, scientists, professors, librarians, school teachers, even a PhD scholar, manager, director, agricultural scientist, assistant, associate, and professors, as well as the students. So on behalf of the our college, I heartily welcome to all of you. So without wasting much more time, I invite to our principal, Dr. Vasant Mali sir, for the introductory speech. Over to you, Dr. Mali sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. It is my great pleasure to warm welcome to today's resource person of this international webinar, Dr. John, Head of Periodicals, University of Switzerland, Southern Africa. Dr. Sanjay Kataria, Founding Librarian, BIT School of Management, Mumbai. Dr. Sriram, University Librarian, Sikkim University, Gangtok. Today's chairman of this webinar, Professor Dr. Subhash Chauhan, Director, Knowledge Resource Center and Head, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Dr. N.R. Motevar, sir, Director, Knowledge Resource Center and Head, University of Mumbai. Dr. Dattatreya Kalabande, Organizing Secretary and Internal Quality Assurance Sales Coordinator, and dignitaries and all participants. I am very happy sharing my view in front of you. J. Vatumal Sadhubela Girls College started in pure journey with the blessing of Acharya Swami Ganesh Daji Maharaj, the founder of Sadhubela Education Society. He believes that the need of time is to nourish the student for all-round personality development much beyond academic excellence. The weaker female section has been neglected by the Indian society since centuries. The kind heart of Swamiji inspired him to start the educational institute exclusively for girls on piece of land measuring 2 acres in congested city, Ulhasnagar. This college made humble beginning in its academic year in 1994 with only 38 students, a single commerce department. It is only girls college in the central suburban area which include Thane, Kalyan, Ulhasnagar, though initially it was on non-grant basis. Since from 1998-99 the BCom program came under grant in aid. From 2007 started BMS BBI, and from 2008 started MCom. College permanently affiliated to University of Mumbai in 2018 College got 2.12B in 2019. College National Assessment Accreditation Council Bangalore re-accredited second cycle in November 2021. Got B plus with CGPA 2.67. From last 4 years, college signed 15 MOUs and linkages with non-government organization, reputed colleges, and reputed universities for organizing seminar, conference, training programs, and campus placement. From last 5 years, got merit scholarship from Israni Foundation, 15 lakh 90,000 merit scholarship from Gita Israni Foundation, Mumbai for BMS, BBI self-financing course students. From last 5 years, more than 300 students placed in various sectors in campus placement in our college. Our college staff is very efficient and active in COVID-19 pandemic situation, organized various workshop, seminar, webinar, FDP. College staff had reached in all issues related to learner, academician, scholar by conducting various online sessions such as MCQ test, FDP, research methodology, stress management, fitness program, leadership program, World Yoga Day, virtual career counseling. And now, finally, it's time international webinar on essential skill for research, publishing, special reference, intellectual property right for student, faculty, scientists, and stakeholders. I am very much thankful to our management, Mr. Uttam Singh Pawar, ex-member of Parliament and Chairman, Sadhuvela Education Society, Mr. Nitin Bagwe, Secretary, Sadhuvela Education Society, for given permission to organize online international webinar. I am very much thankful to today's speaker, Dr. John Paul, Dr. Sanjay Kataria, Dr. Sriram, and Chairman, Dr. Subhash Chavan and NR Motivar sir, given time in a short period. I am very thankful to all participants for your participation and valuable support for online international webinar. I assure to all dignitaries and participants, this international webinar is very useful for all. I sincerely hope you will enjoy today's online international webinar. I congratulate to active and energetic person, Dr. Dattatreya Kalbande, organizing secretary today's webinar, successfully organized international webinar on essential skill for research writing and publishing special reference intellectual property right within a short period. Very, very thank you. Thank you, sir. Hello. Hello.
Thank you very much, sir, for introduction and kind permission of such programs organizing in our institution. Your inspiration is always there. Now the time is introduction of the today's first speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kataria ji. Dr. Kataria sir has more than 20 years work experience. Dr. Kataria is presently working as a librarian at the Bitsom, Mumbai since 1st June 2021. Prior to Bitsom, he served university librarian at the Bennett Jaipai Institute of the Information Technology, Noida, and Banastali University, Rajasthan. Dr. Kataria has contributed about the 35 research papers in reputed journals, international conferences, and has also written or the edited more than 9 books and the conference proceedings. Dr. Kataria is on a board of the several prestigious national and international journals as the editor and the member. He has been invited by several institutions in India and abroad to deliver keynote addresses and has delivered invited the talks. He is recipient of several international fellowships and awards, including prestigious Commonwealth Professional Fellowship. Recently, he completed an executive program on Leadership Institute of Academic Librarians at Harvard University School of Education, Harvard University, Boston, USA. And he is always keen to adopt the best practices of world's top ranked institutions like Harvard University or MIT. So with us have versatile personality for this webinar and for the as an keynote speaker. Now I request to the Dr. Kataria sir, please give your speech. Over to you, sir. Kataria sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dattatare, for your kind introductions, and good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible, no? Sriram, your voice is clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. So let me share my screen, then we'll start the presentation. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Respected Dr. Vasant Laliji, the principal of this college, Dr. Subhash Chauhan, Dr. John Polanbu, Dr. Sriram, distinguished faculty members, scholar, fellow librarians, and student. Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's my great pleasure to part of this very wonderful and timely, very relevant international webinar on essential research skills for research writing and publishing. The topic is itself is so wide. I believe that you must be agreed. This next 2 hour or 3 hour probably will not be sufficient to talk each and every skills, each and every aspect of the research writing and publishing. Though we already conducted a kind of workshops for 1 week on this topic, and challenge for me that Dr. Dattatare asked me to speak on all the essential research skills in next 30 minutes. So I don't know how much it will be just able to justify, but still I'll be giving an overview on the essential skills for research writing and publishing. This topic area is close to my heart, though previous university I was part and partial, and I was involved not only supporting and providing research support services as a librarian, but I was involved that teaching, classroom teaching the essential skills. So next 30 minutes I'll be talking about research and process, literature search process, literature strategy, literature review, citations trial, copyrights and Creative Commons licenses, and fair use, publishing life cycles, research data management, research metrics, and finally, how a librarian and libraries can play an important role in enhancement of the research. So when you're talking about research basically is a serious act, systematic act to resolve some kind of issues, some social issues, some economical issues, and it should have a kind of impact on the society in one another way. The research which don't have an impact, that research don't have any meaning. Therefore, we have to understand that research, whatever research we are going to do, whatever area we are going to explore, there should have to have a kind of impact. Impact can be socially, can be economically, can be academically, or elsewise. So before talking about research skills, let us understand the research process. Process or research methods or research technique can be differ from domain wise, area to area, but broadly, when we are starting with the research starting with the identification of the problems or that area, domain in which we are going to explore. And exploring the particular areas or research problems, we should know about the kind of research has been produced previously. Whether we are going to reinvent the wheel again. So we have to go through the literature, We need to identify the literature properly. We need to review the literature. Based on that, assumptions and the facts and figure on the literature, then we can design an hypothesis, research design, and then we can just think and select an appropriate research methods, research techniques, analyzing the data, and finally, when we are coming out with the output of the research in form of the thesis or the research paper, then we used to get publish it. And when we publish, then after publication, we have to look at the, we need to preserve that, research output. So this is the basically process, but look at in this way, there is an always having kind of questions in our mind. When we are going to start a research, first and foremost thing in our mind that how and where to start my research. When you're going to enroll with your PhD, when you're going to start off research projects, we definitely have to do a lot of the groundwork. We have to do some basic work, and we should look at how and where. And that means you have to select any particular domain. Once you're after selection of domain, then you should know that what kind of research has been done, and from where. That every research is ending with the sum of kind of recommendations. And how do I know what kind of research has been done by others? This is very important. Otherwise, there is no mean to reinvent the wheel again. There is no mean to have a duplication. Once somebody already have done that particular research, there is no mean to do the similar kind of work again and again, and that is meaningless. Once after that, we have to look at that. Once we understand the areas, we know the topic, then how to find and where to find information. This is the one of the more crucial part of the research, because finding the right information, relevant information, authentic information is very challenging, and especially young budding research scholar, they get confused at this stage. And this is a very important role of librarian, to create a kind of awareness among the fraternity, what kind of resources is available with the institution or the other sources, and what kind and how he or she have to start the research. Again, there's some other things. Various type of the resources are there. If you look at the majority of student or scholar, they start the research with Google or some other search engines. Do you think that all kind of scholarly literatures are indexed with the Google, or that accessible on the Google? Google certainly can help us into finding many information quickly, instantly. But when you talk about the research or scholarly communication, we cannot rely, we cannot believe on that kind of search engines. Therefore, because there is no mechanism over there to review and review the content available and indexed on the Google, so that there is always confusion among this young research scholar, that can I get everything on the Google? Or if not, then what is the mean of that? What is the kind of role of the libraries and librarians? And so whatever resources we are going to curate, we are going to subscribe in the library. If you start a research, we'll get 100% relevant and the reliable resource, the reliable literature over there. So when we are going to start a research literature search process, we need to understand this literature search process. As I said, all research starting with the identifying research areas, topics, and then we used to talk about where should I go and what kind of resources we have to search. There are different type of the resources: primary resources, secondary resources, tertiary resources, or the gray literature. And when we are selecting the resource, then we have to look at that what resource. The subscribed resource by the library, open access resources are available, or some other resources where we have to go and search. And we then, after selection of the source of the literature, then we have to look at the literature search strategy and technique. This is most important for all the research. This particular area is going to talk about how to search, where to search effectively, and how to manage that, your personal library, something like that. And after, getting all that literature, then you have to evaluate the literature, whether this, whatever I extracted the different sources, whether this is how that literature is relevant to your particular area in which you are going to explore. Then you know that, sources, when then you able to search the literature, then you able to evaluate the literature, you have downloaded your literature, then how to manage, how to organize that literature, because this is again huge task. Nowadays, this is a IT era. Then definitely there's a lot of gadgets are there, a lot of softwares are there, different mechanism are there. But earlier, when we started research, a lot of things we did manually. And getting a literature particular instantly is again tough job, because we have to go different type of the resources. So, and after organizing, then we used to start writing research. And when you're going to write research, this again long and lengthy process that is called publishing cycle. Another speaker, my Dr. John, probably will be speaking more in detail on this publishing cycle. So this is the whole process of research literature. Now, we need to look at that kind of research strategy techniques. Okay. So when we are going to start a research, we are planning a research, that literature search, technical literature strategy. Literature strategy is say that when you have identified the research areas, then you need to frame your research questions, which you are supposed to explore, which you have to answer. And once you are getting a research topic, research questions, then you have to categorize, even you have to break into the concepts or the keywords. I'll be showing you how we can do it. And after that, next step is that whatever resources, source of the literature we have identified, then we have to make search on that particular databases, and whatever result we are getting from those databases, we have to evaluate, and then we have to save. This is the search strategy. Look at, when we are going to search, we have to look at the kind of different search techniques. That is very important, and they play a very important role in getting relevant literature from different sources. Simple search, Boolean search operator is there, advanced search, that is part of advanced search. Transcription is there, wildcard, phrase searching, field searching, and you can filter further. Look at here. I used this model and methods in social science network analysis. Say, first I put in a keyword in that Google, simple search, and you can see the kind of result. More than 44 lakhs 60,000 results are over there on single, within 1.02 second. Same this keywords I used in the time my subscribed resource in the library IEEE, and there's a few hundred, few thousand words, few thousand results we got over there. Look at. Then after I utilize that all that kind of advanced search features and filter, use different filters, and look at that, put in a same words on that, using the advanced search technique. This is the 44 lakh to 1,51,000, and then I use the same in Google Scholar, and I got in 1,47,000. But you look at another part. When I use this same on Google, this my IEEE subscribed resources, have only 153 resources. That means, look at the 44 lakhs to 153. So this is the saving a lot of time of the research scholar. If you look at the Google or some other sources, spending a lot of time to just confirm that whether resource is relevant to them or not. So in that way, research scholars should understand the research strategy, research technique to get in relevant field and useful the literature from the different sources. Taken this is an example, the literature search strategy example. The topic is the legal aspect of economic condition of women at a workplace. This is the area where you are going to explore it. And when you're going to explore this area, then you have to extract the keyword from this particular area. Like I took a woman, workplace, office, factory, because the workplace can be factory, office, or whatever. And then look at economics and law. By using these keywords, and first, keyword was then a woman in the workplace. I got a 6,313 result. And the same, I used advanced search techniques using different, techniques. I got a 6,800 words, but you look at that further filtering and all, I got that this come to the 261 and then 17. So in this way, you can save a lot of time of your research. Now, next step is that organizing literature, because you did a lot of effort to identify the resources, sources, to get that retrieve the different kind of literature from different sources, and you are able to get download of those literature. As I said, organizing literature is again your tedious job, but now we have a kind of technology platforms which can help us in organizing literature. So in case you are going to organize literature manually, you people used to have a different kind of file system. You used an Excel file, or that you use different file and folder in your computers, or some physical files. So that was quite difficult and tedious task to get the to retrieve that exact particular research paper efficiently, effectively is quite difficult, but taking a lot of time in that way. But here you see the different platforms are available, like a Mendeley and not Zotero or whatever. So if you are in position to understand and look at the features and benefit of that all reference management software, this is the kind of skills, and I believe that every scholar should learn at least one this reference management platform, like Mendeley, Zotero, or whatever, that depend on availability. They're like, I always prefer that Mendeley, because it's available free of cost. And when there's a lot of videos are available on YouTube, and you can look at that how to start using that reference management tool like in Mendeley. And there is a feature, you just have to register with them. There is online platform giving a free space to create your own personal library that will help you to find and search and find your whatever research article downloaded from different sources. And when you're going to create your personal library, and then after a while you're going for a literature writing, literature review, that will help you a lot. Not only organizing literature, but you are able to get the manage the citations. Whenever you are going to write research paper in a Word or whatever software you're going to use, you can do a lot of self citation automatically. You can manage over there. When whatever source you are going to use in your research, that you'll get a bibliography automatically over there. So this is the one of the again important aspect of the research process. Like here, you can look at here the side left side. The different file and folders are there. You can store your all the research literature here, and you can use one by one, and you can see in-text citation, and you can just single click, you can use get a bibliography of the particular source. Secondly, you can share your research literature with your peers, and more important is that it will save a lot of time. Okay, so whenever we start a research and manage the citation, that we must use the reference management software for effective and just save the time and energy. Take an example. I submitted a research paper on X journal, and every journal has their own citation style. and one X journal has rejected my paper, and I'm going to submit the same paper on Y journal, but Y journal again there has a different citation style. And changing those citation, revising citation style, is took a lot of time, energy. So in case we are using the reference management software, on single click you can change that, all the references in a different format. So this is again a reason for using a reference management software like Mendeley. Now you know well why we are using the literature. Why do we are using literature review in the research? Because we are getting a lot of depth information, depth knowledge of the particular area. We are able to understand the research methodology used by the other research scholar in the similar area, and it help us to get the narrow to the problem, and we use to able to design hypothesis and can have a more research question. And research literature is only helping us to get to identify the research problems, and then which help you to have a kind of evidence of your research. That means what kind of research has been done and why your research is different than other research. What is the uniqueness of your research? You are not going to duplicate of your research. So this is the process. There is a different research, review, literature review style. Discussing in detail all this, one by one, taking a lot of time. As I said, this is only 30 minutes to talk about. So there is a different literature review, style is there. We can use like a systematic literature or some other literature, meta literature, and every literature, review having different techniques, different styles, format, and ultimate purpose is just to help a research scholar to understand that particular area, and to gain, having a kind of more evidence-based research. So now talk about the research ethics and integrity. This is one of the important area. When talk about the research ethics, that means more concerned about the honesty. When you're going to do research, there should not have any kind of manipulation with the research data, research process and techniques, and that because all that activities has code and conduct. So we should understand every country have their own law about the all this kind of protecting the research activities. Like in a copyright in India, Dr. Sriram probably will be speaking more about legal aspect of the research after my session. So how to maintain that kind of integrity, and how to follow the best practices of the research. So every university grant commission is very serious about and given a kind of a guideline for the research. So we should follow the all kind of conduct and practices, standard practices, and protocols for the research, and not should involve any kind of misconduct, any kind of misconduct of the research. Because in case we did anything wrong with the research process, research misconduct, you look at the misconduct means that they have three things they considered. FFP, that is in fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. I'm sure that most of you are aware about that, plagiarism. But fabrication, that means that having a kind of manipulating with the data, records and all, and reporting them in your research. Wherever the falsifications, that means the manipulation of the research material and follow a kind of equipment process and presenting that the false result in your research, which is not true. Again, this is one kind of the misconduct. But when we talk about the research plagiarism is more concerned about that you're taking something from different research sources. You're using some of ideas, some of words, some of other innovations, your different set of intellectual asset is there, and you're using those kind of things and not giving them any due acknowledgement, and you're claiming that is your own. That is in a plagiarism. So when you talk about the plagiarism, you look at the plagiarism, taking or using someone intellectual property and element, or the passing them like in your own. Whenever that when talking about the research, intellectual property, probably Dr. Sriram will have a more in detailed session how to protect that intellectual property. So this is then again we when any of scholar is going to start a research, they should understand that all that research ethics, research integrity, and misconduct of the research, and should avoid that plagiarism or other kind of misconduct. And when talking about the different kind of plagiarism, there is a plagiarism taking something from directly from sources and not giving the credit to them. And sometimes we are not really keen to involved with any kind of intentional plagiarism. But sometimes I person don't really have any kind of skills to give a proper credit and proper citation. Or sometimes people have a different kind of mindset. Whatever I took, I just paraphrase and I just claimed. Or that sometimes having kind of misconception related to plagiarism, like a self-plagiarism. I did some kind of research and published my own. And again, that I'm going to write something and using similar kind of research output and again going to publish. And especially University Grant Commission is also having a notification related to self-plagiarism, self-citations. So whenever we are going to, don't think about that I'm going, this is my work and I'm free to use it again and again and again. No, that whenever you are going to, once the research has been published somewhere, and you are going to take something from that, and similarly, you have to acknowledge that particular source and make use of your research data. So this is the research, University Grant Commission related to plagiarism. And probably many of you are aware that they have a different kind of level and different kind of a percentage. Like some kind of person who published some research and found 10% similarity, that means the person has a no penalty, but manuscript will be accepted less than 10%, but less 10 to 40%. In that case, the person can be asked to withdraw and revise it and submit it again. But when somebody is involved in 40 to 60%, that means the student will not allow to submit the research again. So there are a different levels and different kind of penalties in case somebody is found in that research they found in a plagiarism. So I sincerely recommend that everyone should understand and should go through the research, this UGC guideline related to the plagiarism. How to avoid any plagiarism is again a tricky question, but whenever you are going to write research, follow the ethics and integrity. Write your own research, use whatever, in case you're taking something, some quote, use mark it properly. In case you are going to paraphrase something, you have to need to summarize it. And ultimately, idea is that once you are going to follow the research ethics and integrity, then certainly you will be not involved with the plagiarism. Plagiarism, that there is two kind, intentional or unintentional. Sometimes people used to talk about intentionally they're taking something and not claiming. Sometimes they're not really aware that whether I'm involved with the plagiarism or not. But now this is time how to detect the plagiarism. That see, not any single technology is available or the platform is available which can tell you this is the plagiarism. This platform, the software like an Eternity or Orkun, just can help us to find out the similarity text available on different sources and can tell you this particular text is available on so research publication. And in that way that you can make a change, you can rewrite that particular area. and 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 what exactly we need to really understand, and when you're going to analyze that this particular report is quite tricky. So you have to look at that, whatever is, some common text is there, sometime that institution name is there. So we need to understand what exactly is plagiarism or not. So now, understanding of legal aspect of the research, as I said, Dr. Sedam probably will speak more in detail about the research, legal aspect that include the Copyright Act and Creative Commons license, IPR or trademark or else. So I'm not going to in detail in here on this particular topic, but certainly every scholar should have to have a kind of basic understanding. In case what is the copyright and what copyright is allowing, what is the fair use of that publications, and what kind of creative common licenses are available which allowing research scholar to reuse, remix, edit and distribute that research material again and again on a public forum. So these are the things. And publishing cycle, again, Dr. John Paul probably will take this next session in detail. I'm not taking his time from here, but publishing research is very technical, very tricky, and involve a lot of things, starting with the preparation of the research manuscripts and editing, checking plagiarism, grammar, and submitting to particular journal. Most important is that uh, the selection of a journal, because majority of research are getting rejecting because that young scholar, whatever they are going to submit research, that every journal has their own scope, and they're really unable to find out where they should get published research impactfully. And nowadays there's a lot of fake journals are there that we will discuss more in detail. So there are different publishing models for the research. Probably Dr. John will speak more in detail. So every scholar should have to have a kind of understanding about the different research publishing models. And this is very important because especially young research scholar, they get involved with the predatory publishing, because there's a number of people and they utilizing this kind of like in a gold open access publishing model, and where this author is supposed to pay and get published, and thereafter the research will be in public domain. But here again, that there are a lot of people involved with that predatory publishing, because their main motive is that get money and uh, publish the research without any kind of quality check. This is main kind, and mainly that can be identified very easily, that because they will approach more and more, look at that publisher source, who is the publisher, and how much time they're taking the acceptance of that research manuscript. Because sometimes you will see that you're submitting, they're claiming that you can get publish your research within a week. So this is really impossible to get published research within a week, because every research need to go through the different kind of blind review system, and quality, for maintaining quality, we need to follow some more things. So therefore it is not easy to get published research within the short span of time. So we should careful while we are going to select. There is a clone journal. Look at the UGC, this UGC care list. There are a number of journals which are available, UGC listed, UGC care listed, and a similar kind of journals is available, and that is called similar name, and that's called as clone journals. That, so we should be aware while we are selecting a journal, and we have to have some kind of check and balance. Then after we should submit our manuscript. This is again emerging areas of the research, that every research is every research process has to go through different phases, and every phases the research scholars getting different kind of research data, whether it's observational data, so laboratory data, some kind of literature, some kind of research diary. So this literature, the research data is again having their own importance, and research data can impact of your research similar to your research publication published in top index journals. So we really need to understand the research data management. Research data management is nothing but kind of managing the research data, raw research data. And there's a lot of open research data repositories are available, which allow you not only allow you to deposit your research data over there, but there are a lot of data is available, and where that data is available under common creative licenses. And even as a research scholar, you would like to use that particular research data available on a public repository like Fixair. You can use that raw research data in your research, and then you can acknowledge, and that research data is also giving a research impact. So research metrics is again important. As I said, where should I get publish my research? We have to look at the journal every journal has their impact factor, but not every journal has an impact factor. Journals are indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. Especially in talking about impact factor, that means that JCR, General Citation Report, used to publish every year. That you need to look at that. In name of the journal is indexing that this JCR. And JCR is only source for the impact factor, and that data is getting from that Web of Science, and supported by Clarivate Analytics. This is the company, and there is a different kind of journal metrics are there. When talking about journal metrics, you are getting impact factor from the JCR. Then in a SCImago ranking journal, you can look at the rank of journal provided by SCImago, supported by Scopus. They're getting data from Scopus and Elsevier publishers. And when talking about the journal metrics and article metrics is every you can know that number of publication published by a particular person, or the article metrics, that means the number of that particular paper having how many citations, what is the average citations, and what is the impact factor of the particular journal where the article get published. So these are the some metrics you can get, and based on these metrics only you can see that the impact of your research. Until unless you don't your research is not visible, do not have any kind of this kind of citations or other kind of download views, is kind of a new metrics are there, like in alt metrics. So this is again this area which really need to understand thoroughly before publishing your research, and what kind of research I'm going to publish, where should I going to publish. Nowadays every publisher, many publishers, they started their journal finders, that you just paste your abstract and title on the journal finder. The journal finder will let you know which journal is more closer to your research and where you can get published, and there is a you will get an more possibility to get acceptance of your paper. So this way that we should use that different kind of tools are available. All metrics, I told that this is a source of metrics getting from different social medias or some other research platforms. And we should look at whenever we are going to research, publish your research, we should communicate on the social media. We should have to have a kind of, visibility of our research, so that research will get more all metrics and all. And author level metrics, that means some different levels, like in my how many paper I published, and in case I published 10 papers, what are the more top impact factor of the journals. So we can look at the author level metrics, and how many citation has been received by particular papers, so total citation received from all papers. So what is my H index? H index is again that is very important, and this is a link with your research publication received citation, number of citation, minimum H paper received as citation. This is the kind of metrics. So there's many things behind this. How librarian can play an important role in enhancement of the research. As I said previously, previous university I was in my previous university I was involved with the research teaching, and this paper, one credit paper was introduced. It was quite mandatory for all the research scholars across university. If you look at that, all different 5-6 modules there, starting from the literature, search, technique, and strategy. We are not only taught in the classroom what is that literature, search, technique, and strategy, but we used to get a hands-on practice how to do it. So again, literature review and reference management, how they can use research ethics and integrity, and publishing type cycles, and research measurement and productivity and visibility. And again I added one more, that is the research data management. So every librarian probably in all the institution, the colleges, they must start this kind of uh, research course, research skills course in their respective institution. And another part is the library should start the research support services, and based on this all what we spoke, like research scholar, what we are used to do, that when research scholar is going to enroll in your PhD, we are just taking their broad area and extracting the different data from different sources, and analyzing those data and telling them which are the top journals on particular area, which are the top papers got on top citation, which scholars should use in the research. And again we are helping them literature review and the citations, avoiding plagiarism, and so on. So these are the things, and probably every library must have to have a kind of research guide, live guide, or subject guide. This is basically whole process. Thank you very much for your patience listening, and I'm always available for any kind of queries and questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kataria, sir. Really, you highlighted the very burning issues related to research and essential skills required for the publication. Also, you covered a little bit about the plagiarism and scholarly communication, clone journals, and UGC care. Nowadays, UGC care played the very vital role in the, to find out the scholarly journals, particularly for the research. So thank you very much. One question is there to you and asked by the Supriya Salvi madam. Uh, Her question is that often I cite matter from Wikipedia where matter is cited from other resources. In such cases, it is enough to mention Wikipedia URL in citation, or do I need to mention the original citation as available in the Wikipedia references?
That is already answered by Dr. Sriram.
Yeah, Dr. Siddham sir also
Yeah.
already,
So probably what Sriram is advised, better to look at the original source, because Wikipedia is always allowing, all the people to modify and, frequently changing that, the information is available on Wikipedia. That is not exact. So we look at the actual source of the, research where before, citing in our research work.
Okay. Another question is from Mr. Muthu. Sir, I have published an article. Can I use those research data for further investigation with proper citation?
Yeah. Self-citations talking about, because self-plagiarism is that your whatever you published or with the earlier any of journal, and using those particular data without any source or acknowledgement, that involved with the self-plagiarism. But self-citations is always there, and people must look at that, whatever data they published, they should acknowledge properly the way they used to have different other sources. Because when we are going to submit a manuscript to any publisher, we are giving an undertaking to the publisher that whatever we have submitted, that is our original research, has not been published elsewhere. And because we are, secondly, that we are transferring our copyright to the publisher. And thereafter we can whatever we are going to use, we need to take a permission, or we need to have a kind of proper acknowledgement.
Okay. Another question is from one research scholars related to the plagiarism. His question is like that, sir, there is any policy to check the, regional language material? Because in a regional language, there is a problem to checking the Marathi or Hindi or other or Kannada. So is there any policy at the level of the, plagiarism checking softwares or at the UGC level?
I think so. There is some still issues with the multilingual and all, but this naturally people are working on that, and will get some solution. But as on date, what I understand, there is an Orcon and the Turnitin. They're not in position to put in all original languages together. They're starting something, a few languages, but not all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. If there is any questions from the other participants, so I'll be asking the question answer session. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now the next speaker joined with us from the Swatini, Dr. John Paul Anbu, and he is currently the head of the periodicals and acquisition at the University of Eswatini Libraries Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as the Swaziland. He has been a librarian for 32 years. He has coded an open source circulation control module for the UNESCO CDS ISIS software, an information system on tea disease management for United Planters Association of Southern India, and a member of the association and digitizing projects in India and in Eswatini. He has also contributed 55 research articles in various journals and books, and co-edited 4 volumes of the books. He is instrumental in piloting the SMS-based content alert system for the University of Eswatini through the Emerald publishers. He is a regular invited speaker in a number of international conferences. He is the Secretary General of Standing Conference of Eastern, Central and South African Library Association. He is also Eswatini Library and Information Association's President since 2016. So hearty welcome to you, sir, and I request to you, please take a charge of the session. Over to you, Dr. Paul, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalabande. May I be allowed to share my screen?
Yeah, sir, please. You are a host. You can share. You are a co-host.
Okay. It says that the host has disabled participant screen sharing. So let me wait for
1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah, now you can share, sir, please.
Thank you. Is my screen visible now?
No,
Not yet.
no.
Okay. Let me just wait for a minute. Okay, it should be
Yeah.
visible now, right?
Yes, yes, please. Sir.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me start with my greetings to everyone. Respected Dr. Vasant Mali, respected Dr. Kalabande, Dr. Subhash Chavan, Dr. Motivat, Dr. Kataria, Dr. Sriram, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. It is a morning here in Africa, so you all must be during your lunchtime, and you're very happy to. I'm very happy to see you all to deliberate on something which is very important to academics. I should start with my special thanks to Dr. Kataria and Dr. Sriram, mainly because we three have collaborated and co-authored several research papers. I being in Africa, they being in different parts of India, we are a standing example of how co-authoring and collaboration can be done between scholars. So with that background, I will be sharing a few of my knowledge in the art of publishing. There is no cut in stone guide for publishing. We should understand that one. Okay, it's just an art of trial and error. The sooner we understand the nuances of publishing, the publishing cycle will become much easier for all of us. Okay. I don't know, for some reason, the slideshow doesn't want to move. So there must be some problem in this. Anyway, okay.
It's working now.
It's working now. Good.
Do it again, F5.
Okay. Dr. Kataria talked very nicely about the research cycle and the research process, including the research data management, organizing, literature review, and all those things. Yes, once we have that one ready, and once we have our research written as something, now we are almost ready to publish. And when we talk about publishing, publishing is as old as humanity. From the time immemorial, we have seen humanity was publishing. Even at the time when written world was not there, humanity was publishing. It will be very interesting to note that one. What were they publishing? They were publishing whatever they thought is worth passing on to the humanity. You heard Dr. Kataria talking about impact. So whatever they thought which will impact, whatever they thought which they have to pass it on to the next generation, they did it. How did they do it? Look at the rock paintings. Look at the cave arts. These are the things which our forefathers have published. They are the classic examples of information being passed from one generation to the next generation. Of course, it was in the form of drawing. Okay, so publishing is as old as humanity. But today, I would like to concentrate on the written world, more specifically the research publications in scholarly communication media. Okay, the first journal, as you all know, was published in the year 1665. The journal Des Savants, it was published in January 1665. The same year, I think the Philosophical Transaction of Royal Society was published. This marked the beginning of the research publication. As of today, no one knows how many scientific journals are there, but several estimates point that around 34,000 journals are published worldwide every year. Close to 20 lakh articles are published every year. So I'm very happy to see that we want to be part of this the cycle, and I'm very happy that we all are here to know the process of publishing. So this brings us to the important question of why people publish. People publish when they have new research findings, or when they want to disseminate their findings to the stakeholders. That is when they want to publish. It may be to tell that you have found something, or you found some kind of an impact which you want to disseminate, or sometimes to influence some of the key policies which have been there in the particular research. Or it may be to influence your promotion, both materialistically and philosophically. Sometimes to attract visibility, we do publish. But most importantly, if a research which has a high impact is done, then that tends to find its way to the publication. That's what all the researchers say. Whenever there is a high impact, as Dr. Kataria rightly said, whenever there is an impact, when your research has done some impact, that is when you feel that it has to be disseminated, it has to be published, and that is when you do the publication. Now, when you look at the impact, there are certain impact zones that I have marked there for you. So what is impact research? Impact research can be from different zones. For example, it can be from knowledge. What is knowledge? Research that makes a contribution to the body of knowledge, which generates further research. Okay, that is one of the impact zones. It can be from teaching and learning. For example, some changes happen in the curriculum. Okay, that may be another impact zone. It can be from practice, like you're doing business, or you're a manager, you're a consultant, maybe in a public or private sector. Okay, so from practice, probably you will find a high impact. I mean, that's one of the high impact zones. It may be from the public policy, it may be from economy, it may be from society. So the research that challenges cultural norms or accepted ways of thinking. Okay, all these formulate high impact zones, which normally tend to add to the universe of knowledge. You see, you publish because you need to add something to the universe of knowledge, and that is when you do the publication. So since you are all here today, you're probably aware of the importance of getting published, especially for your future academic career, and to attract, some for attract funding, some for our career promotion and things like that. In fact, getting published is an investment in anyone's academic career. But the important question is where to start. I think Dr. Kataria started on that one. Where to start? Or who should start making a move towards publishing? If you're working on a doctoral or master thesis, have you completed a project which concluded successfully? Are you wrestling with a problem? Are you having a problem and you don't have a clear solution? Or do you have an opinion or an observation on a subject? Or have you given a presentation or a conference paper? If you've done any of those things, then you are more than ready to have a basis for publishing a paper. It is assumed that a good 2 to 3 papers can be written out of a good PhD thesis. MBAs can often lead to great papers because they are heavily based on case studies, and it can be turned into fantastic papers. Conference presentations often make very good papers since it is being presented and you can get feedback from your peers. An important observation is that even if you do not have a clear solution, you have a basis for a publication, because an ambiguous question without an answer may lead to new research. So overall, if you have an idea, then you have a very good potential to publish. Now, once you have something to publish, the main dilemma is where to publish. So you have a number of choices. Dr. Kataria nicely talked about different kinds of publishing. You have scholarly publications, which are academic and scientific publications. You have university publications, which have a strong peer review process, and publication which have good reputation and impact factor. Dr. Kataria was talking about JCR, the research metrics and all those things. And there is, again, you have open access publications which offer their publications as free and open access. So one need to be very careful with open access, as he was rightly saying. There's a lot of malpractice happen to gain academic honors. So in open access, we have, there are a number of models we have. We have repository-based or green open access. There is also journal-based gold open access, which is publishing in a fully open access scholarly journal. One where the publisher charges an article processing fee, which is called as APC, to the author, but the publisher of the journal provides free and immediate online access to the full content published by them. There is also diamond open access we have, which refers to open access journals that are free for readers to access and for authors to publish in, often community-driven or supported by institutions. Also, you have bronze open access, which refers to freely available journals or journal articles that has no open access license. And finally, you have black open access, which refers to the illegal open access, which are often predatory and done for money and substandard publication ethics. So you have a choice. You have quite a lot of choice. Depending on your ethical standing, probably you can start thinking where to publish your publication. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you the publishing flow diagram, just to see how it flows, and then probably we will take it up from there. So when we talk about publishing, this is the general flow diagram you have. Sometimes the steps are a bit less, and sometimes it takes the entire workflow. First and foremost, you do the submission, which is screened by the editor-in-chief. Right away, he accepts or rejects. His initial acceptance or rejection is called as desk acceptance or desk rejection. I will talk about it in the later slides. The editor-in-chief will simply look at the relevance. He will look at the requirements, which were followed by the author, whether the paper follows the author guidelines, the scope, the type of paper, the word length, the reference style, all these things he will look at. And this is where the first level of desk acceptance will be decided. Once this is done, then the content verification process will start, which Dr. Kataria very nicely talked about, the plagiarism and all those things. So it will be checked for plagiarism, and once that is completed, the editor-in-chief will have a verified content, which can now go for the review process. So this is the first process, and this is the first segment of your publication process. Now, once it has gone to the verified content stage, now it gets into the second stage of the publication. So with the verified content, the article will now go to the second stage, which is peer review process. Here, the possibilities become much straightforward, which starts with rejection or acceptance with minor or major revision from the reviewer. So it goes to the reviewer, then the reviewer looks at it, reviews it. So straight away, it is accepted or it is rejected. If it is accepted, then once this is relayed to the editor-in-chief, then it is sent to the author with the reviewer's comments. Then the revision takes place, and then there is an option for the second round of review, depending on the reviewer's comments, before being accepted, and then sent back to the editor-in-chief, who accepts it and sends it to the publication process. So before a paper is being published, it goes through such an elaborate cycle of quality assurance. So we call this one as quality assurance, and this is what happens when you are when your paper is being sent for publishing. So what I will be doing is with the straightforward publication process and the publishing workflow, in today's presentation, I thought I can share with you some helpful tips which will enhance your chance of publishing successfully in journals. Now, first and foremost, I would like to start with what journals should you submit your work with. Dr. Kataria nicely started on that one. So before we talk about what reviewers are looking for in an article, it is important that you should know what you should be looking for when you start thinking about publishing. First and foremost, it is important that you should look at publications which will enhance the impact of your work and your reputation. How to do that one? So Dr. Kataria was talking about journal finders. There are a lot of ways in which we can do. So publications, so what kind of reputation are we talking about? Talking about publications that will reach the audience you want to share your research with. So that is the way in which you search for the correct journal. So reputation is the key. In science, the reputation is often measured with ranking. Okay, Dr. Kataria talked about impact factor and all those things. Okay, so all of us know about the ISI impact factor. It is a journal ranking system devised to measure the quality of a journal based on citation. So we are not talking about article level, we are talking about journals quality. Okay, so it is not the only system, but it is an important one, and this influences how university funding is allocated. However, there are a lot of other ways of ranking journals. You can look at the research metrics to see the ranking. So it's very difficult to tell you where to publish, but it is easy to tell you what to consider. Depending on whether you want to work, some universities want you to publish in specific journals. Okay, I'm told that UGC has got its own number of journals which it has got. Some universities have ISI ranked journals. So they may want you to publish one article in the ISI ranked journals, or your institution may want you to publish 5 articles in any journal. So I want you to be more political and strategic about where to submit your article. But the bottom line is that choose the right journal using either journal finder or using the impact factor and things like that. Now, so what should be your first target? Your first target should be to avoid desk rejection and get into the review process. So I want you to be realistic. You may not get published in a top journal right away, especially if you are new to publishing. But the first target is to make your work reviewed by someone in the publications cycle. Should be reviewed by a journal peer review system. To do that, we need to make sure our paper is not rejected at the initial level. Dr. Kataria was saying many papers were rejected simply because they don't fulfill journal requirements. Their articles don't even go into the review process. To cross that important hurdle, first and foremost, you should identify a few possible target journals, but be realistic. Follow meticulously the author guidelines, the scope, the type of paper, word length, reference style. Find out where and how to send your paper. Sometimes your paper don't even go to the right people because you send it to the wrong person. Whether you have to do it to the editor or is it to the online submission. Check the author guidelines, which can be found in the copy of the journal. Always it will be there, or it should be there in the publisher's website. You can also send an outline or abstract to the editor and ask if it looks suitable and interesting. This is another political way of doing publishing. When you write to someone and ask them whether it suits their journal, often you find that there is a communication which happens. So, and I also advise that if you're submitting to any journal, read at least one issue of the publication. Your library should be the place where you should find that one. And most importantly, include a cover letter. This will provide an opportunity to speak directly to the editor, convince them of the importance of your manuscript to the journal. So this should be your first target. On your screen, you see there are 7 easy steps to avoid desk rejection, because there is a statistics which say that almost 50% of publication submissions are rejected at the desk level by the editors. So Anne Hasing, who's a professor in international management at Middlesex University, she provides these 7 easy steps to avoid desk rejection. So her first one is targeting the correct journal. Second one is article title, the abstract, the introduction, conclusion, and what you cite, and communication with the editor. What she says is like, put yourself in the shoe of the editor-in-chief. Imagine someone is sending a paper to you and you need to send it to your reviewer. Think what are the main items you will look in the paper. You will see if it is within the scope. You will check the title and see if it is related to the subject of your journal. You will read the abstract to see what it is about. Then the introduction, then the conclusion, and see which authors you have referred. So if you are satisfied with all these 7 points, then you will send it to the reviewer. The same thing the reviewer-in-chief will do. So this is a simple psychology. Follow these steps so that you can avoid rejection in the first step itself. Dr. Kataria talked exhaustively about plagiarism. So the desk rejection also happens at the, if the editor finds that it is plagiarized, because it's a process which goes through. Most journals check for plagiarism as soon as it is submitted. So there are a number of tools which are inbuilt within the journal submission system itself. Turnitin, Plagiarism, CheckerX, Grammarly, Copyscape, a lot of those things are available here. So most journals have their own web-based software to check plagiarism. So make sure that your paper is submitted without much plagiarized content in it. It is very important to do that one. So once it has been done, in order to be relevant, there is a need to prepare the manuscript to suit the required guidelines of the specific journals you're targeting. And once again, Dr. Kataria talked about the referencing style and all those things. It differs from journal to journal. Similarly, first and foremost, the format of the article and the length of the article is very important for specific journals. As we saw earlier, it is essential to have proper catchy article titles, article title page along with your author details, other key elements in the article, namely structured abstract. I will talk about it a bit later. The keywords, article classification, once again, I will talk about it a bit later with proper headings. The article itself with introduction, body and conclusion, notes, the figures, tables. Try to have the manuscript's requirements in your mind. That is what is important when you submit something to the publication cycle. So most of the journals are now want you to classify your article so that it falls within the scope of the journal publication. This is to make the life of the editor-in-chief much simpler, because once you have classified your article, immediately it will be known whether it falls into the publication scope of the particular publication. Okay, there are a number of these classifications there, something like research paper, technical paper, research case studies, general review, viewpoint, literature review, conceptual paper. These different classifications are very important for the editorial team, which has its editorial policy on their publication. Some journals will only publish certain type of publication. So the classification of an article makes the job of the editor much easier. So when you communicate with the editor, you can say that your research paper is it's a technical paper, or it's a viewpoint, or it's a literature review, or it's a concept paper. They understand, and if it falls within the scope, the chance of you getting published is much stronger in those areas. Now, As I was telling, where to submit is another important thing. Most of the journals now use the online manuscript submission method, which requires one to prepare their paper in a particular pattern and process. Each journal will have its own information and guidance on the submission process, which needs to be carefully looked at depending on the journal, and it differs from journal to journal. For example, some journals will ask you to upload the tables and figures as a separate file, indicating the place where those tables and figures should fit in. Some will require you to have it converted into PDF. Some will have the Word format. Look at the submission type carefully. And since now these things happen online, it is much easier for you to do the publication. And I want you to consider looking at the attachment section while submitting the manuscript, and always keep a covering letter ready. The covering letter can contain a statement of why the paper is being submitted to this journal. This is very important because we all know that we submit it online, it becomes impersonal. You don't have a proper communication with the editor. But a covering letter is the only link between you and the editor. So you can, in the covering letter, you can have a statement by telling why the paper is being submitted to the journal, and if it is a bit unusual for the or it is outside the scope of the journal, you can add a statement which can say about any paper and similar topics being submitted elsewhere, and why you are submitting it, whether or not those papers are referenced in this article. All those things you can put in your covering letter. Provide a clear indication of the communicating author's contacts. This will help in breaking the ice with the editor. So the editor is tend to answer to you. So, like when you receive feedback, it is much easier for you to communicate with your editor. Now, co-authoring is always a possibility when you are publishing. And, most of us started our publishing career, or most of us started our publishing venture with co-authoring. And, as I said in the beginning, I and Dr. Kataria and Dr. Sriram, I think we have collaborated and published more than 20-25 papers. So co-authorship is often a good opportunity for first-time authors. When you partner and co-author, what does it do? It adds value and weight to the paper. And it can draw on a variety of strengths, especially if it's a cross-disciplinary paper. It can give quite a lot of strength. So the partnerships can be with your guide, with your supervisor, or across the departments, some from different institutions. Okay. Whenever there is a partnership, it shows to the journal and to the editorial team the authority and the thoroughness of the research. Because the editor tends to believe that when it is co-authored by 2 or 3 people, the ideas are shared and it is read through, and so they believe that it is a thorough research. Okay, and this is very useful when it is cross-disciplinary, as I said earlier. But there is a note of caution that I have to say. Once you have decided to partner, it is essential to divide your work. This is to ensure that the manuscript is checked, edited, so it reads as one voice. Okay, try to exploit your individual strengths. I would like to give 3 important warnings while doing a partnership. People have different writing styles and may even contradict each other. So make sure the paper reads as a whole. So don't say that I write half of this and you write half of this, and entirely, it has to sound in one voice. Especially there should not be any conflicting statements or duplication. So make sure of that one. So as I said, don't share the work evenly. Instead, play to your individual strengths. If one of the author may be good in data analysis, one may be better in writer. So let the statistician do the statistics, let the writer do the writing. And agree and clarify the order of appearance of authors. This is very important. I've seen a lot of people break their head on this one. This is very important since this cannot be changed after publication. I've seen some of the people come and say, I've done more work, but I put someone else's name in the first. So you have to decide on that one. Also decide on the corresponding author. Okay. My advice is that the corresponding author should be the person who replies quickly, who is often, who can be contacted very easily. There is always something needed from the editor, okay, for clarification, So there may be a missing reference, there may be copyright related query. So if it takes 3 weeks for someone to reply, then the publication of the paper will be delayed. So the quicker the publisher receives a reply, it is easier for them. So make sure that you give the corresponding authors correctly. Now, what makes a good paper? So what does, so far what we have to do, we have said. So what does the editor and reviewers look for when they see a paper? The editor-in-chief, who is responsible for desk acceptance or rejection, will look at the adherence to the editorial scope and objectives of the journal, as we saw earlier. They will also look at a good title, the keywords, and a well-written abstract. So this is what the editor-in-chief will look at. But the reviewer will look for certain things. The reviewer will look for originality. So what is new about the subject? How is it being treated? What are the results? And also they will look at the paper's relevance to the extension of existing knowledge. They will look at the research methodology used. Are the conclusions valid and objective? The reviewers will look for clarity of structure and quality of writing. Does the paper communicate well? Does the paper have sound, logical progression of argument? They will also look for theoretical and practical implication of the research. They will look at the recency and relevance of the references. And they will also look at the international and global focus of the article. So these are the main focus areas the reviewers will do, because I also work as, review quite a number of articles for different journals. So these are the main area in which we look at article when it comes for review. So in order to make the decision-making process very simple, some of the journals have introduced what is known as structured abstracts. This was introduced by Emerald Publishers, with whom we have quite a number of publications with Emerald. And I really like this, mainly because when you write an abstract like this, it sells your article to the editor and reader readily. And I will tell you later how to convert this into other formats also. So there are many reasons for having a structured abstracts. Normally the editors are very busy. They do not want to read an entire article when deciding whether it is suitable for the journal. So even after publication, so it's not only when you're submitting, even after publication and when the article is online, the abstract is often all the readers will see until they pay to read the article or until they decide to use the article. So the reader will not go further if the abstract doesn't tell them clearly what the paper is about. So a good abstract will make them want to read the full text article. Okay, so you need to make them to, you have to make that one to happen. So make sure that you're clear, honest, concise, and have covered all the major points which I have listed here. So within 250 words, using 7 subheadings. Out of these 7 subheadings, I'm going to say 3 can be included only if it is applicable. So with 4, you can create a good structured abstract. Say the purpose, the aim of your research, why you write this paper, the methodology you've used, the findings, what are the main results you have, the research implication or limitations. This is an option. If you think that there is a limitation or an implication of this research, so you can include that one. The practical implication, this is also an option of what value this is in practice. So then also the social implications. So these 3 implications, you can leave it as an option. Okay, how does it impact the society? Okay, now the last one, that is the originality or the value which this research is going to do. This is very, very critical. How does your research add to the body of the knowledge? What is its value to the context, purpose, design, findings, and originality value of compulsory? Okay, I recommend the beginners to use this as a guideline in preparing an abstract. Now, once you've prepared this, just delete the headings alone, that the originality, the social implication, the purpose, design. Just delete the headings alone and convert it into a paragraph. You will get a very good abstract which can be sent anywhere. So this is to tell us how to write an abstract. So once you have done a structured one, and then when you convert it into a paragraph, it becomes a nice abstract and you can use it anywhere to any journals you want. Now, another important aspect of writing an article is submitting whatever you've written to your own peers for a review. It's a common knowledge that it's very hard to find. I hope I'm overshooting. I'll try to finish fast. It's a common knowledge that it's hard to find fault with ourselves. We are always too close to our own work, and we often don't see the mistakes we make. You may look at your paper over and over again, but you will miss certain errors. This is where giving the paper to your peers for reviewing, it can be your colleague, it can be your friend who will spot the errors rightly. So ask them to check the figures, whether they add up. Read and reread your paper for typos. A lot of proofreading is done by people who are not subject specialists. So you don't need a specialist to do that one. So an internal paper review with peers is a must, not only to check the paper for typos, but also for the logical sequence, obvious omissions, superfluous ideas, to name a few. So writers should ask not only the principal investigator to view drafts, but also every co-author should read it. I personally have a technique. I leave the draft for a few days and do completely different work before reading it again with fresh eyes to catch mistakes. Okay, this is another way of trying to find spot the errors. So when I read it, sometimes I see the flow is not there, then I know there is a problem. Okay, experts suggest that you read drafts aloud with your students or with your colleagues to spot errors. Okay, the bare minimum, at least run your paper through a spell checker, before you submit the article for consideration. This is a slide which I thought I will show it to you to help you. Let me just make it bigger. To show exactly what happens to the paper following the submission. It helps to explain why it can take 3 to 4 months before an author gets feedback from the first review. So the editors do an initial reading to determine if the subject matter and the research approach is appropriate for their journal. This is called as desk acceptance, as we saw earlier. The editors identify and contact 2 reviewers. Reviewers usually take 6 to 8 months to complete their review. The editors assesses the reviewers' comments. Sometimes, the editor finds that the reviewer is very harsh, sometimes soft. Then they do a completely different overall. So it takes totally, when you submit a paper and if it is just accepted, it will take 6 to 8 weeks to complete the review process. So you have to be ready for that kind of your time. And once you have received, this is very important, once you have received a feedback from your editor or editor-in-chief, and if you ask you to review or revise, then it is a good news to you. A lot of people think when the writer sends to them and say, revise it, they feel that it is bad. No, a request for revision really is a good news, because now you are in the publishing cycle of the journal system. Editors and reviewers will not request revision unless they genuinely think your paper is right for their journal. Remember that nearly every published paper is revised at least once. Even those by the most distinguished academics, their papers have been revised at least once. So incorporating feedback and improving quality is, after all, what the peer review system is all about. So always remember that the comments are not personal, particularly not in a blind review system. So don't take it personally. If you've been asked to revise, it is a good news. But if your paper is rejected, don't worry. That's not the end of the world. Most importantly, keep at it. At least 50% of papers in business and management do not get published, and everybody has been rejected at least once. I'm talking about my own experience. It's hard, but try not to take it personally, or don't be discouraged. Keep trying. Look at the reviewer or the editor's comment, and this will give you an information where you have to strengthen and which areas in your paper is weak. If it is not forthcoming, ask the editor why it has been rejected. So you will get the answer there. Now you can always correct it and resubmit to another similar journal. Make sure that you read the author guidelines, adjust the paper accordingly, and you will get published at least in the next cycle. So if you've been asked to revise, how to revise your paper? First and foremost, immediately acknowledge the editor and see a revision deadline. If he is given a deadline, if he says send it to me within a week, do it. Go through the comments of the reviewers and editors. If you're unsure about any of the comments, seek clarification. Sometimes you will disagree with them. If you disagree with them, say so and give good reasons explaining why you think a change is not necessary. But try not to take a very defensive position. Treat comments objectively. At this stage, consult with your colleagues and co-authors. Most importantly, meet the deadline, because the editor would have already covered you in the next publication cycle, and you don't disrupt that one by sending it late. After completing the revision, attach the covering letter explaining clearly what revisions you have done. Address it each one. Ideally, provide the specific page numbers, and the editors appreciate it very much because they will see that you have carried out the corrections systematically. So obviously, the publication process will become much easier and smoother. So after all the revision has been done, run the final checklist. Ask the following questions. Is your research useful? Is your research targeted? Have you followed the author guidelines? Do you have a good title and abstract? Have you revised the feedback? Consult the submission checklist once again. Get the covering letter ready, and now it is submitted. Now, I'm going to end in a short while. Before that one, I want to just tell you how to increase visibility and discoverability, because the main idea behind you publishing is to be more visible or more discoverable. I would like to provide few tips on how to increase the visibility of an article. This is called electronic dissemination checklist. Since articles are going to be used electronically and read online, it is important to concentrate on the areas where your usage and citation come from. Okay, think how to increase the chance of your paper being found or being read or cited more widely and have more impact. The better the title and the abstract, the greater the chance of you being read online. So remember your own Google behavior. How do you behave when you are in Google? When you try to look for something in Google, you look at the title, and if you're interested, then you will read the abstract. So use a short but descriptive title with the main keywords appearing in the title. Make sure people will understand what the paper is about. Choose 5 to 6 broad but relevant keywords. Don't try to coin new words from the keywords. It's not going to help at all. So increase the chances of your being found by users. If the keywords are already there, the chances of finding it is much more brighter. Also, provide complete and correct reference. So, okay. So these are some of the tips for disseminating, making your work more visible. So once your work is published, you need to promote it. I'm going to skip this one. Why do you have to do it? You have to influence policy. You have to raise your profile. You need to attract the collaboration and funding. So because of all these things, you need to promote your work. So how do you do it? You can do it through your social network. Nowadays, you have quite a lot of networking possibilities. You can do it through list servers, press releases. You can also contact the authors you have referred in the list. You can ask them to read the one, so that when they do another article, they will cross-reference you. So there are a lot of ways in which you can promote, and you can do that one. I have provided a number of other useful resources for you to do, like ISA ranking, Anna Hazaring's site about academic publishing. There are Scopus, there are a lot of things there. I'm going to leave the slide with the organizers, who will in turn will try to give it to you. And finally, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I want to say that any scholarly content needs to have some kind of copyright, which may be proprietary, which may be open. It may be from the editors, from the creator side, or from the publisher side. It can be open, it can be closed, but it needs a kind of copyright. As the author, you need to ensure that your intellectual property has the correct kind of rights. Sometimes you do not have a choice when you want to publish with academic publishers. So all this, I hope, will be dealt by Dr. Sriram. So for the time being, understand copyright and understanding your intellectual property right is very important. So with this, I would like to stop talking about publishing. I would like to say that it was an absolute pleasure talking to you, though from a different time zone. It was a pleasure talking to you all, and I will be there for answering any kind of questions you have. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. Really, this presentation is required to the scientists and those who are doing the research particularly. And I'm very happy to inform you that for the today's program, there is a 200 plus PhD scholars registered. So definitely this presentation and whatever you have discussed, that is very important for them. In your presentation, you discussed about the reasons of publishing, research impact, where to publish, how to publish, and steps of the publication. Even other related information you have given point to point. So thank you very much. There is one question to you. I think the name is that Azhar Uddin. Sir, could you please name someone open source software for editing the manuscripts? He's asking related to the any software is available for the editing of the manuscripts, open source software particularly. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I don't get the question correctly. Open
His
source
question
software
is there any open source software for the editing of the manuscripts?
creating of the manuscripts.
Yes.
Is it for creating manuscripts?
Oh. No. Editing of the manuscript. Editing, that means creating.
Editing of the manuscripts.
Yes.
Okay, editing of the manuscripts. There are a lot of online sources, I remember, for editing of the manuscripts. I'm not sure about the open source softwares. Maybe Dr. Sriram.
Not exactly, because editing is something which cannot be done by software. So the software what can do is it provide a platform to check your grammars, check your spellings, check the sentence conversion, like sentence structures, active voice, passive voice, such kind of activity generally involved in the process of editing. So now popularly there are so many commercial softwares are available. And even you can use Grammarly as a it is giving some kind of opportunity to edit your paper with respect to spellings and some active passive voice, something like that, but not professionally because it required licensing of the options. In case of open source software, I don't because I'm also exploring. I didn't find
story about Grammarly.
Yes.
Grammarly is employing human beings to do the correcting because even I have an offer from Grammarly to edit papers. So what they do is they accept a paper and send it to someone who's already good in writing. to do the editing. That's what they are doing. So still the algorithms for writing, or editing papers, I don't think are foolproof, mainly because, I think we have not yet reached that stage of AI so far. Thank you.
I just want to add, because now writing paper and editing is an art. You have to understand that machine cannot think like you. So whatever you want to express your feeling in terms of writing, it is you only who are going to express this correctly. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is being utilized, which understand what kind of feeling you want to express in the writing, and it try to understand, correlate with existing data, existing information, what exactly you want to say. But that is actually only one who is writing the paper, who is expressing the content, his feeling in the form of writing, is the only person who is going to do the editing correctly. It may be because of the poor English and also writing, understanding the English, expressing English. It is going to matter a lot in terms of writing for international audience. So I think it is better to read, revise, and also discuss with the peers what they feel about their expressions. So I think that is the best idea rather than using some machine or some software.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Paul and Dr. Sriram, sir, for the answering of this question. Now I am moving towards the next speech of Dr. Sriram, sir. Sriram, sir, have more than 20 years experience in academic librarianship. Recently, he joined as a librarian at Sikkim University, Sikkim, and Sikkim University is the central university. So first, hearty congratulations to you, sir, and our best wishes for this, assignment. Prior to this assignment, he has worked as a deputy librarian at the Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology and JP University of Information Technology, Solan. He holds PhD degree in Library and Information Science from the Osmania University, Hyderabad, along with MSc in Anthropology from the University of Delhi. Also, he qualified UGC-NET in the Library and Information Science. He has been awarded with the Commonwealth Professional Fellowship in 2013 and went to University of East London, UK during the September-December 2013. And he was also awarded with the fellowship under ICSSR, NRCT, and he visited at the Bangkok for his research project on the service quality assessment of libraries. He has published more than 65 research papers in the journals and international conferences of repute. He has also edited 5 books, conference proceedings, published at IEEE Explore Digital Library. He has implemented many tools that support service at the organization he served. So with us have very dynamic, very techno-savvy and very good researcher for the discussion on the IPR related issues. So my request to you, sir, please take a charge and enlighten to us. Over to you, Dr. Sriram, sir.
So thank you, Dr. Dre. Thank you so much for your kind introduction. So in fact, thank you for everyone. And I have a great pleasure to see our one of the mentor, Dr. Sanjay and Dr. John Paul Anvu. So looking at their activities, looking at their motivational work. So we learned a lot, and I'm very, very thankful to share the dais with Dr. Sanjay and Dr. John, because these are the people who have worked with me and guiding me, motivating me to do best what we can do for the profession, and also along with the supporting institutional, especially in terms of promoting research activity, because the librarian is the profession who actually be always on the target in terms of providing resources, providing services, managing the people, managing faculty, managing student. So I really appreciate the leadership of Dr. Sanjay Kataria and leadership of Dr. John Paul Anvu, who has mentored us so much that we are now sitting at the same platform and talking about what kind of research activity, research support activity, which library can provide to mentor our students, mentor our faculty member to achieve their academic activities. So I'm really thankful to you, and I'm really thankful to Dr. Dattatreya, who since last 2 months we are in continuous discussion. to organize this event, and today is the reality. So today, Dr. John Paul ended with a target and wonderfully organizing the content and giving and landing at the last, where it is really important aspect, where we have to understand that whatever intellectual property being generated, they must be protected in some sort of provisions where we can harness the benefit of those intellectual property. So I'm just going to share my slide, and please confirm if it is visible.
Yes, sir.
So I have given the title Intellectual Property Rights, Protect Your IP Today and Benefit It Tomorrow, because this is very important aspect when we are going to make benefit out of whatever intellectual property we are going to generate throughout your research activity. So research which have been being carried out by so many people across the platform, across the subject area, and every day huge number of papers, huge number of articles, huge number of conference papers, books, everything is being published. But how these are going to be benefited in terms of protecting it or generating a knowledge, and then also, if possible, converting into some kind of business opportunity. So intellectual property right is basically the platform or the way where you are going to protect your IPs through different products, and then we can use these products in the form of protecting our intellectual property, either through a business avenue or through some kind of monetization activities. Ultimately, everyone's goal is to gain some benefit out of whatever activity we are doing. So maybe today, if you are publishing your some kind of book, it is going to be read by so many people. Maybe you are going to get some kind of monetary benefit as well. And overall, you are going to generate a knowledge. That knowledge is being benefited by so many people, and that actually that is one of the biggest achievement you are going to provide to the society. So understanding to these aspects, I'm going to cover slightly these fundamental aspects, which is understanding the intellectual property, and what are the intellectual property rights, what kind of IPs are there, how you are going to protect intellectual property, and then if possible, what kind of commercialization avenue available in terms of protecting the intellectual property. So what is the property? Generally, when it comes to the property, we generally consider some kind of physical property which can be touched or measurable, or there are the property which is intangible, which cannot be physically available. So under we generally talk about the cars, we generally talk about the houses, but in case of intangible property, it generally comes under the value, the property which is having no physical property. So this kind of property generally we call is as having some kind of industrial application, or converting into some copyright activity which is protecting our intellectual output, maybe available in the form of patents, trademark, designs, geographical indications, or in the form of literary, dramatic, music, cinematographic form, arts. All these things are covered under the other aspect, which is intangible intellectual property. So WIPO has given very beautiful definition which covers the intellectual property is a category of property that includes intangible creations of a human intellectual. So whatever we are thinking, with whatever we are having in our mind, if it is converted in form of some activity, that is generally called as intellectual property. And in terms of protections, in terms of intellectual property rights, so if we have some kind of legal obligation or legal rights to given to us, who can protect, which can protect the our invention in the form of in the form of some certain periods, it is coming under intellectual property right protections. So these legal rights generally confers an exclusive right to the inventors, creators of his assignee, to fully utilize the invention's creation for a given period of time. So we get a lot of opportunity to harness the benefit in terms of monetization, or in terms of industrialization, or in terms of other social benefits which we are going to obtain through protecting the intellectual property rights. So why these things are becoming important today? So, and why it is required protection? So, every individual has some kind of intellectual capital, and these intellectual capital must be recognized by the system, by the country, by the provisions as an important asset. So, because the economic condition of any person or any individual depend upon how the intellectual capital has been utilized by you can say the institutions or country or family. All these things are going to be very important. So all the trades, all the business opportunity, business avenue within the country or outside the country, it is all related to the intellectual capital available to the country. And if these intellectual capital being transferred or communicated from one country to other country, it is actually going to give benefit, lot of benefit in terms of in terms of business, in terms of industry, in terms of so many other aspects, which is going to benefit the people in terms of inventions or industrializations, development of infrastructures. All these things are possible because of the intellectual capital. So intangible assets are always publicly available and can be easily copied. So there is a need to protect through the exclusive right, generally what we call is intellectual property right protections. So all these, the government, every country, they have own way of protecting the intellectual capital through the patenting, through the copyrights, through the giving some kind of legal obligation which protect the intellectual output of the country, of the person. So why it is becoming significant day by day? Because everyone try to do some kind of research, and we try to find out whether something is already happened or not. So in order to start from already what is already happened, or to avoid duplicacy, we have to understand that intellectual property is going to help you a lot, so that you are not going to duplicate the research, or you are not going to the same do the same work which has been already taken place. So it is also indicator of an achievement. So if you have some kind of intellectual capital, or if you have patents, if you have papers, if you have some kind of infrastructures, that is also going to give you indication that your institution is having huge intellectual capitals. An individual is having a huge number of research publication or patents, and also it provide a platform for continuous improvement. So if something is happened today, it must be maybe it need improvement at later stage, so that this is quite significant, that if a person is having some kind of intellectual capital, it may be utilized in a better way, or it can be improved in a better way, so that it gives more viability to the society, abreast with the latest development in the technology that help in improvement over existing technology. So this is very, very important, because every time we are having some new inventions, some new you can say innovations, which is providing a more flexible opportunity, or in terms of cost effectiveness, in terms of usability. All these things are important. Because of that, the intellectual property is becoming significant nowadays, and it provides some kind of protections. Utilization of IPs, specification for industrial productions. Unless and until we do not have a very proper guidelines or protection, it is very difficult to provide some kind of industrial productions as well. So ordinarily, anything cannot be converted into specifically products, but it must be having some kind of standard way, some kind of industrial applications, so that it can be utilized for the converting the material intellectual capital into a materialistic way, so that it can be sent to industry for production of any items. So anything today which we are utilizing in our day-to-day life are governed by some kind of intellectual property protection rights. so that then only the industry utilize those specifications, utilize those details to make a product, and that product is being utilized by society today. So how it is becoming intellectual property, becoming innovation or invention or discovery? Because of the thinking out of the box criteria. If we think out of the box, it's going to be give you, if you are thinking differently, if we are thinking unconventionally, or if you are thinking from a different perspective, it is going to give you some kind of innovation, some kind of discovery, or some kind of improvement over existing information. Then another aspect is novel and creative thinking. How a person think about differently, what kind of novelty is there, what kind of creative thinking is there. So once you have any novel idea, or once you have any creative thinking, it will be going to give you a new discovery or new invention or new innovation. Discovery generally is very difficult word to describe. It is generally associated with the founding new thing which is not discovered by anyone. Invention is if you are conducting some kind of experiment and it is going to come out with a new product, then invention is there. Innovation is if you are going to improve something from existing information. So likewise, discovery of the potter's wheel around 3500 BC might be a ground-breaking discovery. But at later stage, when you can say that आवश्यकता ही आविष्कार की जननी है. But because every time the potter wheel, which was discovered in 3500 BC, and if you compare the usability of this wheel in current time, like the tire which we are using in different vehicle, it is quite, and so much modification has been already taken place. So innovation, because of the innovation, because of the improvement over existing form and format, it has given to new ways and new thinking, a new form of the invention. And all these processes have been already patented by different individuals or companies, which gives you, because of the protections and because of the industrialization and because of the industrial application, you can find out the different variety of tires today. Maybe earlier it was with the we had used to put air pressure, but now without in the tube, tire tube. But now the tires are coming with the tubeless tires or pneumatic inflator tires that come with the improved efficiency. There are so many inventions, so many innovations have been already taken place in the discovery of this potter's wheel and now today's pneumatic tires. So how this invention and this everything, when it comes to a process, it become an intellectual property for an individual or intellectual property for an organization. How we are going to benefit all this? So there are different type of things are there. They are generally categorized as a copyright. So that is basically the intellectual property which is need protections in the form of you can say videos, books, literary, dramatic, musical, artistic works, cinematographic films, all these things covered under copyrights. Then another aspect is the patents, which is generally is statutory rights granted by a government. It gives one exclusive right on and put a bars from other making, using, selling, and importing products or processes based on the patented invention without one's prior permissions. So unless and until you are not going to give permissions, anyone cannot use your inventions or innovations without your permissions. Then there is another form of intellectual property, generally called as a trademark. If you have designed any symbol, if you have designed any product which is distinguishes one product from other, and it gives an individual identity, it is generally considered as a trademark. So a lot of logos, company names, and pictorial this thing what today we are looking is all covered under trademarks. So no one can duplicate your trademark with the other people, other companies, and similar to it. There another form is industrial design. Generally, it is ergonomics, which gives you ornamental look. and attract overall visual presentation. So whenever you are going to a market, if you any design attracts, you generally choose to buy those products for your personal use. So that covered under industrial design. Then there is another form of intellectual property that is called geographic indication, which is related to a particular product or science, which is corresponding to a specific geographical location. So that is another form of IPR, which is being protected under intellectual property right protections. Then there are secret trade secrets, which is generally confidential for business entities. So generally one doesn't share their trade secret, but these are used for the industrial production. So whatever Coca-Cola's, Campa-Cola, Thumbs Up, or any drink or any other form of products you are today having, these are based on some kind of trade secret, and these are also protected under intellectual property right protections. So the patent, this is one of the very, very important aspect in today's industrialized society, which is going to give you a lot of inventions that are protected under the patents, under patent activities. So patent is a form of intellectual property that gives its owner a legal rights to exclude others from making, using, selling, and importing an invention for a limited period. So once you have invented something, once you have designed something, that is going to be, you are going to get a patent, and that patent will be giving you exclusive rights given by the government to the patentee for a period of 20 years, and for gaining commercial activity in consideration of full disclosure as a territory within the specific countries, not globally. So if you have any patent with you, you are going to get full rights for 20 years to commercialize it. If you are going to give a complete disclosure of how you have proceed with what kind of product you use, what kind of activity you have done, and how unique is your activity. Based on that, you are going to get a patent for a particular region. Like for India, you are going to your patents for India, not globally. For globally, you have to get an international patent for that, so that you are going to use so that your patent is going to be, your right is going to be patent protected in international scenario as well. So you have why you are going to get a patent, because it's going to give you exclusive right. It is going to provide you a strong market position, so that your product become usable by society. Higher returns or investment. So suppose if you have invested your intellectual activities and come out with a product which is highly in demand, so it is going to be, and you have also invested so many money in terms of conducting the research, acquiring the equipments, and time. All these things are going to finance involved in that, and based on that, you are going to go. It is going to give you higher return. It is going to give you an opportunity to license or sell your innovation. So suppose you have invented something, you can either license it or you can sell to any company, so that it can be converted into a product. It can also increase your negotiating power. So suppose if you have invented something, you can license with the company, you can discuss with the company, you can negotiate with that how much money or what kind of activity that product is going to, how much efficiency that product is going to provide. All these things is going to increase your negotiating power. It's going to give you a positive image for your enterprise. It is going to give you a lot of recognition to you, to your system, to your personal profile. All these things are going to be important if you have going to have a patent for any kind of product or any kind of inventions. The patent law is governed by Indian Patent Act 1970. So you can find out all the details related to Patent Act on ipindia.nic.in website, which gives full details about the patenting activities and how you are going to file the patent, what kind of rights you are going to have. All these things are well given in the intellectual property, Patent Act 1970. So then question comes, what kind of things can be patented? So the idea is the first step of invention. So if you start thinking, I have an idea. So does idea is going to be patented? Not. So idea cannot be protected through patent, but if that idea is going to convert it into a product or a process or a formulation that solve a problem. So if the three basic things are going to be three basic things you have to understand. So any idea, if it is converted as a product, if can be converted as a process, or if it can be converted into formulations, and how these three things are going to solve a problem of the society, then their idea will be going to be patented, or it can be patented through governing rules and regulation. So there are three fundamental aspects of patentability. The one aspect is the novelty. Your idea must be a novel and non-obvious. So invention should not have been published or used anywhere before date of filing of the patent application in the patent office. So novelty means it should not be discussed at any conferences. It should not be published in the form of journals. It should not be published in the form of books or chapters or conferences. It should be new. It has not been disclosed in the prior art. The patent act says that it should not be non-obvious. Non-obvious means it should not having any surprising results. It should not having the solution to long-standing problems. It should not fulfill the long-standing needs. So a great technical progress, such kind of activities generally considered as a non-obvious activities. And if you are able to answer non-obviousness, so it is going to be a novel idea. It can be protected. It have a novelty, and it can be protected under patent right act. Then it should also follow some kind of inventive step also. So if you have conducted some research, you have followed the steps, and if after following those steps, if some results have come which is novel in idea, which is having some kind of novelty, or it is having some kind of technical advancement compared to existing knowledge, or if it is having some kind of economic significance, or if it's having the both that makes non-obvious to a skilled person, it is going to be a inventive. It is going to be a patented by the patenting organization. Then the third one is it should having some kind of industrial application. So merely saying that my idea is innovative, my idea is new, my idea is novel, it is not going to work, or it is not going to help you to get the patent. It must have some kind of industrial application. Even the small needle, the needle used to sew a cloth is also having the industrial application, though it is very small, but it is going to be patented. It is already patented, and it is going to help you to get a patent because it having very thin tip. It is having the provision to insert your thread or sizes and everything. It is going to help you to that's why it is got patented, and it is being used industrially for the sewing of the clothes also. Then the fourth one is it should be fall under the category of invention. It should not fall under the category of invention that are excluded from the patentability under certain jurisdiction. Like if anyone have developed atom bomb, or anyone developed some kind of product which is harmonious to the society, that cannot be patented because the government will take over all those things, and they will not get any patent for such kind of inventions. So what cannot be patented? Any frivolous things which is contrary to established natural law will not going to give you any patents. Anything which is having machine giving 100% performance, that cannot be patented. Anything which is contrary to public order and morality, like you can say these games, which is gambling machines, are not patented. Biological warfare activities are not patented. Anything which is the new form is already known from the substances, but it is not having any efficacy or any improvement or any new property. Like the people are saying that I have discovered black diamond. It is not patented because this is a modified version which is already there in different format. Any admixture like mixing the two components and giving that or two properties, saying that it is new one, because they already exist in isolation. So you cannot mix two things together and saying that these are the my new inventions and can be patented. That is not permitted. Rearrangement and arrangement and rearrangement also not patentable. For example, if you are carrying an umbrella and if you put a fan under the neat in between and say that my umbrella is also protecting from the sunlight and also providing the airflow, that is also not protected, because you are arranging two different components and saying that this is a new invention. This is not like that. Then some kind of method of agriculture like cultivation of mushroom, it is not patented. But however, if you have discovered some kind of agricultural equipment, it is going to be protected under the agriculture. This is going to be patentable, but not cultivational methods. There are some plants and animal varieties are there, that is also not patentable, but the varieties are protected under the Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right Act 2002 laws. Any genetically modified crops are not patentable, because you have seen that there are huge hue and cry among GM these GM crops on the brinjal. So these are protected under Biodiversity Act, and you have to understand that these are also not patented. Then mathematical formulas, algorithms, computer programs are not patentable. All these are covered into copyright. Literary, dramatic, music, artistic works are covered and not patented, but it is covered under copyright. Then any schemes, rule, performing like games and method of playing games, learning languages, method of teaching are not patentable. They can be converted into other aspect. Then presentation of information in any form like calendars, 100-year calendars, railway timetable. These are also not patentable. Typographical circuits and all these designs are also not patentable, but they have protected under the Circuit Layout Design Act 2000. So you have to seek your protection under those guidelines. Invention of traditional knowledge, because this is also not protected. You can see that the patent filed by US was revoked because of the CSIR argument about the traditional knowledge, this Haldi turmeric case. So you can read about lot of information available under this is covered under traditional knowledge, and the patent was revoked by US. So a complete digital library of traditional knowledge is already maintained by Government of India. That is called Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. You can see all the traditional knowledge is already being digitized and put into a platform. So how a patent is granted? So we have to file an application to IPO office giving the background description and claim. Claim is very, very important. What do you want to claim from your invention? Then go to patent office available at Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, file an application, and after 18 months of publication of your file, it will be published online, and you can ask for the patent review. So patent office will going to assign a reviewer to your patent, and maybe after 30 months you are going to get a patent to this thing, and you will get examination report and file all the compliance within within 12 months, and then ultimately you are going to get a patent for a period of 20 years, and then you can exploit the benefit in terms of other activity related to the patent. Where you are going to file, the patent offices available at 4 metro cities like Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, and you have to provide all the information. So based on the patents, what rights you are going to give, a patent owner has right to decide who may or who may not going to use your inventions for the period you are going to be protected. So the patent owners may be given permission to or license to other parties so that their invention is going to be used based on the mutual agreement. Owner may also sell their invention to someone who can then utilize the patent as a new owner and they can utilize the benefits from the patent. In return, the patent protections, all patent owner is going to give some kind of public disclosure information in their invention, so that other people may not repeat the same thing, and new knowledge can come from there with the RESPOC. So generally, patent is considered as a negative rights. That is the aspect of the patenting, but it is actually going to protect the intellectual property of an individual. This is very important. Once you get a patent, what you are going to do is, so you must exploit the IP, this intellectual property in terms of commercialization. So you must prepare some kind of strategy, like evaluation of the inventions, some kind of business evaluation, then developing a plan, then implementations. All these things are very important, and this is this is also not very easy. You have to take a lot of consideration, so that you can actually get benefit of those. There are huge companies are there who can understand the benefit of inventions, and they can implement as a form of IP commercialization. So it is going to be, there are firms, they can assignment, they can license it, they can franchise it, they can create a joint venture, or they can spin off your work, so that this whatever intellectual property you have generated, that be converted into some kind of industrial applications. That is very, very important, and you are going to gain some kind of monetary benefit out of those commercialization activity. So for that, individual must have a policies and procedures, and all the policies and procedures must be clearly understood between the originator and the institutions where this policy is being implemented, and what kind of revenue sharing, all these things are possible. So in Papar, I was the nodal officer for intellectual property right cell. So we had developed intellectual property right policy for the institute, and that governs every activity related to the IP generated at the institution. This is very important, whether anything which we have researched out, whether we are going to publish first or going to patent first. That is very, very important and very, very crucial. So publishing the research or publicly disclosing it before the filing a patent application can severely limit the patentability and could complete bar it for receiving any Indian patent or any foreign office patent, this thing. So that is very important. So if you have anything disclosed to the public in the form of research publication, in the form of thesis, in the form of abstract, in the form of public presentation, or public any other public format, it is very, very difficult to get a patent for your invention. So you have to decide it first, whether you are going to inventor must be aware that the potential of your invention. So for that, you have to consult your supervisor about the novelty, make inventors learn about what kind of work has been carried out, conduct a prior art search. There are so many databases available where you can search your inventions. What if it is already something has been published? Then you can find, we can take the help of IPR cell in filing the process. You can, they can be going to help you. Then prepare applications, then get it published, and seek your help for IPR cell if you have any doubt about your patent. So all these processes are going to be very, very crucial. So before you publish, you must go for the searching of the patent if something has already been carried out on your inventions. If it is not, then certainly you look forward to go for the filing of the patents. Then, and there is another important aspect about protecting intellectual property is the copyright. The copyright is generally considered as an author right. It is a legal terms used to describe the right that creator had been over there for a literary or artistic work. So anything, if I'm writing or if I'm speaking or anything, if composing, all these things are covered under Copyright Act. So we have to see that any article I'm writing, any book I'm writing, any manuscript, any script or any musical scores, all these things are covered under copyright work. Any picture I'm drawing, any painting I'm doing, also any sculpture I'm working on, all these things are covered under copyright activity. So anyone can seek all these protection under copyright activity. So nowadays you can see that a lot of music short reels are being generated using contents from different musics. Even some local people, they have, if they have some peculiar kind of peculiar way to express their feeling, that is also being utilized by so many people for their entertainment, and they are getting benefits by making those reels. But actually, the original creator is not getting benefit. So we have to understand, we have to also see that whether we are violating any copyright laws of the original creator. So the Copyright Act 1957 is the governing aspect, which covered the whole range of copyright activities, and you can find all the anything which we have been putting into public domain automatically become a copyrighted. So we have to see that how we are going to protect our copyright by taking a copyright certificate, copyright license from this thing. It provides an exclusive right for reproductions, distribution, derivative works, display, and performance. So this is a bundle of rights which gives lot of benefit to do all these five Ds, so that we can you are going to use it for your benefit at later stage. So it gives the rights related to the reproduction, distributions, derivatives, or display and perform. So anyone cannot easily perform your work without your permission. So that, and all these things are covered under copyright activities. There is there is another very important aspect, how you are going to use copyright material in the classroom. So we understand that anything straight away you cannot use in the classroom unless it is available in public domain. So if it is free and free from the copyright law, it is covered under Creative Commons licenses. The attribution must be given. Any material which is available as a copyright exception, whose copyright has been expired, anything covered under fair use of materials under fair use policies like copyright policies, anything which we can get permissions from the originator, so that you can use all those materials in the classroom. So nowadays, during this pandemic, this aspect was very crucial. So when I was there in Thapar, so there was a big question whether they can circulate the PDF materials or PDF books or articles or anything to the students straight away. But we have to see that we have to look at the obligations associated with the fair use of the material, which is covered under the copyright policies of Indian states. So Indian Copyright Act 1957 gives the provisions in section 52, where the fair use is very clearly dealt with under section 52 of HIJ, where it says that the reproduction of any work by teachers or people for the course instructions, or as a part of question to be answered, or in answer to the such questions, or for the purpose of research or private study, or for the purpose of performance or course in activities. So all these exceptions are available. Adhering to these exceptions, we can utilize Indian Copyright Act, and you can utilize the copyrighted material for the classroom teaching as well. There is another form of intellectual property right that is called geographical indications, that is related to a certain locality or region, which is gives opportunity to gives an opportunity for the supporting literacy and education and help shaping the new ideas. There are authentic records of knowledge created and accumulated by past generations that are being created, and services are protected by GI indications Protection Act. So like, for example, basmati rice, teas, feni, Alfonso mango, Kolhapuri chappals, all these things are covered under geographical indications. So these are provided, GI are registered for a period of 10 years. You can find out the law which covers the GI Act 1999. So all this information is already in public domain. There is another form that is basically the trademark, which is also the intellectual property consisting of recognizable signs, designs, or expressions which identify the product, services of a particular source from those of others. So if I say Nike shoes, I can easily say that this is a company. If I say BBC, I can easily identify that it is a media company. If I say McDonald's, I can easily say that it is a burger. So this is very important aspect, and one cannot use or misuse these trademarks for misleading the people for making the benefit or using the product. So trademarks are covered under the Trademark Act. You can see the details available there. There is another aspect which is called design. Design is basically the ergonomics views or attractive view or ornamental visual appearance of the product. This is also covered under the Design Act of 2000. So all these provisions have been given. So if you wished, we can we can go through these things. And this is another important aspect about patent cooperation treaty. So, suppose because patent is given to a particular geographical jurisdiction, so you cannot use across the country. So you need to file a patent across international level. So the under PCT, if you file at one application, it will be cover larger number of countries. So there is a timeline from date of filing of the patent to within 30 months, you can apply for the PCT application. And with a single application file, all the countries covered under PCT will be covered for, will give you protection rights for your inventions there. There are so many organizations which are helping you to understand about the IPs, like IP India, Department of Industrial Promotions and Industry. Then there is a Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Intellectual Property Management, which is the organization which gives you the patents. Then there is a NRDC, which gives you the technology transfer. It generally help you to commercialize your inventions. There is a Department of Science and Technology, which help you to file your patent, funding your patents. There is a WIPO, international organizations which cover international treaties. Then all this, you can take benefit of these organizations and find out the most suitable aspect related to intellectual property. To summarize, I can say that in intellectual property rights like patents, copyright, trademark, designs are very, very essentials and need protections. To put efforts to generate IPR along with your license with a certain company which can adopt it. Go for prior art searching, novelty checking before you get your paper for publishing. Understand the patent filing process, generate funding, file a patent, and don't wait for patent certificate, but find out the ways of commercialization. And once you commercialize, you can have autonomy on your intellectual property, and you can enjoy the whole financial benefit and also the recognition for your patents. So this is what I was try to cover, and hope that this is going to be a benefit to potential investors, potential inventions, and research scholars who are engaged in R&D activity. They might be going to be benefit from it. So at the end, I would like to thank Dr. Kalabande and whole team and all the authority who have given me this opportunity to interact on this aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sriram sir. Really, your presentation was very good, and even the feel is like the innovation and creativity in your presentation also. So definitely, this presentation is very useful to the all the research scholars, those who are going to register or planning for their patents or planning for their more innovation and creative ideas to implement or to produce in a form of the patent. So thank you very much to you. There is one question for you. Can we renew our patent?
Yes. So there is an option for the renewal after 20 years. There is a certain fee. You can renew your patent for another period.
Okay, another question is for you from the Mr. Jadhav, but I request Jadhav sir, you ask after the presentation remark and give your feedback also. So before that, I would like to invite today's chairman of the session, Dr. Subhash Chauhan sir. He is my guru, and I heartily welcome to you, sir. Presently, he is working as a director of Knowledge Resource Center and head of the SSPT School of Library and Information Science, which is the largest university and who is her jurisdiction in all over India, that is the SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Dr. Chauhan has more than 25 years experience apart from his under able guidance. So many students awarded MLSC, MPhil and degree from the state of Maharashtra, like Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, North Maharashtra University, Tilak University, and even SNDT Women's University. Apart from this, sir has published 15 books and 115 research articles in various journals. Dr. Subhash Chauhan sir awarded with the National Level Granth Mitra Award in 2016, and late Dr. Suresh Prabhakar Satarkar Best Librarian Award for the year of 2014-15, and Rajmata Parvati Devi Sahib Granth Mitra National Award in 2012. So I request to you, sir, please take charge and enlighten to us on this occasion. Over to you, Dr. Subhash Chauhan sir.
Thank you, Datta. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we all are gathered here for international webinar on essential skill for research writing and publishing, special reference to IPR. First of all, appreciate for choosing a very proper theme of this international webinar on essential skill for research writing and publishing, special reference to IPR. Theme and topic are very proper, which will be helpful to all researcher like MLSC student, MPhil student, PhD student, and all library professionals. So I congratulations Principal Dr. Mali sir and Convener Dr. Peter Kalabande. Today's speaker Dr. Sanjay Kataria sir, Dr. John Paul, Dr. Sriram sir. All speakers discuss various points to related topic. It is a very useful for a researcher. Then congratulations Dr. Sriram for a new inning in Sikkim Central University. So friend, today Dr. Sanjay Kataria has given various points, and it is a very useful for a researcher, like a research process, very proper manner. He like all points, like research process, literature search techniques, literature review and citation style, Copyright Act, publishing life cycle, research data management, research metric, plagiarism, role of libraries and librarians, Jotero, Mandley, research ethics, and much more. It is a very useful for all researcher. Then Dr. John Paul has explained proper all things. Topic publishing cycle very well, and focus various point like statistical information, all word, published article in journals, research, and it is a impact. Publishing other point also here publish our article. He shows and explain flow very nicely. He given the helpful tips for researcher, and also given the helpful tips for avoid rejection. He discussed about plagiarism, articles classification, co-author participant, submission timeline, and how to promote your work. He discussed all points very nicely. Nowadays, researcher using so many ways for updating their knowledge, like email, Facebook, Twitter, social networking, online professional group, video conference, e-books, and tablet PC. Then our today's speaker, Dr. Sriram, has explained intellectual property rights, very easy language. He discussed very nicely what are types of IPR, why are becoming important and needs protection, significance of IP, how IP become involved. He discussed about patents and copyright also. He given various example and diagram with the diagram also. This topic is very useful for all researcher and library professional. So friend, all we are aware about libraries are playing a very significant role in teaching and learning to update their knowledge. The recent trends and innovative ideas, definitely the libraries are provided by several of resources. It may be print or electronics. In the age of information explosion, as such in information product through variety of the ways, it may be through the books, periodicals, reports, and thesis, so on, or maybe print or electronics. Nowadays, student, research scholar, and the teacher are demanding not only print but also electronic resources. Considering the change in role of librarianship, it is necessary to emphasize the books, journal, news, and also variety databases. It can be observed that a majority of student and research scholar doesn't have any idea about the databases which subscribe their university and which is made available on the various websites like library, university libraries and other websites. Therefore, it is necessary for organizing various e-awareness training program. So hope during this session, we all got a very fruitful result by sharing knowledge of expertise on a renowned resource person. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presidential remark and very good comments for the about this program as well as for to the speakers. Definitely, this program is very useful to the all research scholars and the professors. Now I invite to Mr. Prahlad Jadhav, sir. First, ask your question to the Sriram sir, and after that, please give feedback related to this program.
Thank you so much, Dr. First of all, I would like to thank all the speakers, specifically Dr. Sanjay Kataria, Dr. Sriram, and my friend Dr. John Paul. Definitely, it was a very well explained session. As I am from the industry and I was throughout the sessions. Specifically, there is no question from my side, but I just want to say something. As we are a library and we are working in the library team, so IPR and research is very closely related to the library. And if we play an important role in any institute or in any industry, then library value can be increased in terms of if we create the awareness of the IPR, how we can go ahead, how we can take it. So such type of initiative should be started in the library, not in the academic, it is in the industry also. Even we are responsible for checking the plagiarism of article in the industry also. So it gives a lot of weightage to the library team. So this is really golden opportunity for us. As we are from the Indian culture, we know we are still just 5 years back, we are fighting for the haldi patent, turmeric patent, which is not actually right. We are the, we are the real originality of that. But earlier it was not creating the awareness. That's why we are facing that problem. So this is the right stage. Library is the right stage, and we have to create that. My suggestion, not suggestion, just a request to the Ram sir. What are the others convention which is available at international level where we as an Indian can fight for getting the rights of the IPR? That is the first. Second thing, how relevant Copyright Amendment Act 2012. If I am talking about the library and librarian, how it is very relevant, because there are a couple of provisions which is meant in the Copyright Amendment Act 2012. And third question is, at the international level, Marquis Treaty was passed, which is again a vardhan for the library and library team. So this is just a point of updates from my side. And if Sri Ram sir want to explore this thing, definitely it will be good. And thanks to the organizer very well, and bringing all scholars at one platform. Really salute to the organizing, and thank you Subhash Chavan sir for a presidential remark. Thank you Vasant Mali sir, and thank you Kalabande sir for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Ram sir.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Jadhav. We have already had one very good session.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. So in fact, my PPT is 130 slides long. So I have just cut short so many things, especially the treaty, what he was mentioning. So all those treaties, all those organizations, and also the amendments, because copyright itself is a huge this thing. But for the sake of time, and so I think we have to understand that, and the best advice from my side is to refer those treaties, refer to those copyright guidelines, copyright amendments, which is coming from time to time, so that we can update ourselves in understanding. And the best way is try to start doing small things. For example, in TIT, being a nodal officer there, I had a lot of responsibility there. But when I shifted here in Sikkim University, I found that though our faculty members are having patents, but most of the things are not being known to people. So at the time of filing the NIRF applications, I was told to find out in application there was no patents, but when I searched the I conducted a search in Indian Patent Office database, I found that there are 7 patents have been filed by our faculty members. So what I did is I created a patent wall. So I downloaded all the patent certificate from there, framed it in a very well colorful pictures, and put up patent wall just while at the entrance of the library, so that it is actually going to give you visibility of about what intellectual property the institution is having. And we have also started displaying the all the books which have been published by the faculty member. So these are the small initiatives. If we start taking, I think it's going to give a visibility to our professional commitment also, and also it is going to give the benefit to the individuals who have created intellectual property. And my advice will be, because this is so long, the understanding the copyright activities and copyright laws, my advice would be to refer those copyright laws to understand more about the different obligations available for the libraries. Over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Now I am moving towards the last formal vote of thanks. First, I would like to thank Dr. Sanjay Kataria, sir, Dr. John Paul, sir, Dr. Sriram, sir, Dr. Subhash Chauhan, sir, for their precious time and their valuable guidance for the all over the India as well as to the abroad participants. Also, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Vasant Mali, sir, for the permission and time-to-time guidance for this event. Also, I thank you to the all authorities of the college and all my colleague staff members for their kind support. Last but not least, thank you to all of you for your huge response and your valuable presence. Thank you one and all. There is one notice for the participants. Please fill the feedback form, and on the basis of feedback form, I will be issue the certificates within 4 to 5 days. So please be tuned with us on a Telegram group up to the final announcement related to these certificates. So thank you to one and all, and my sincere thanks to the all resource person as well as the participants.